Hello students, my name is Gargi and in this lecture we will revise our book First Flight. So for the first chapter, which is Glimpses of India, it alone has 3 parts. So we will study it in different parts. Glimpses of India, a baker from Goa. Now in this chapter, lesson begins how the narrator's elders often recall the time when Goa was under the rule of Portuguese. पहले जब पोर्चुगीज के अंडर गोवा हुआ करता था उस टाइम पे बेकर्स की वैल्यू बहुत ज़्यादा होती थी. दे टॉक हाउ इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ बेकर्स इज स्टिल मेंटेन्ड इन देयर विलेजेस इवन आफ्टर द पोर्चुगीज हैव लेफ्ट. और पोर्चुगीज के जाने के बाद भी कितनी ज़्यादा उनकी वैल्यू है. अभी भी बेकर्स की बहुत ज़्यादा वैल्यू है. दे आर नोन एज पैडर्स इन गोवा. और उन्हें क्या कहा जाता है? अभी पैडर्स बोला जाता है. दे आर नोन एज पैडर्स. द बेकर्स दे आर नोन एज पैडर्स इन गोवा. The mixers, molders and their time-tested furnaces continue to serve the people of Goa with their famous bread loaves. और जो उनकी bread loaves है वो बहुत ज़्यादा famous है. और their time-tested furnaces, जो उनके furnace है जिसमें वो बनती है, their mixers, the molders, जैसे bread बनाने के लिए जो mixers और जो molders use होते हैं वो अभी भी वहाँ पे हैं. It is possible that the original ones may not exist, but their profession is being continued by their sons. हो सकता है the earlier जो ancestors थे वो अब नहीं हैं, but their sons they are continuing that tradition. वो अभी भी उस tradition को आगे लेके आए हैं. The thud of their bamboo stick can still be heard in some parts of the village. And when the baker arrive in a particular region, it thuds its bamboo. It creates a sound that announces its arrival. कि जो baker है वो अब आने वाला है वहाँ पे. The same jingling thud would wake the narrator and his friends during their childhood days and would go running without brushing or washing their mouth properly. और जब narrator when they wake up, जब उनकी नींद खुलती है, when they hear that jingling sound, that thudding sound, they wake up and they run towards the baker. It was a maid servant of the house who collected the loaves while children sorted out the bread bangles for themselves. And the maid servants, they were supposed to bring the loaves to the house, and the children, they loved those bangles, the bread bangles, which were specially made by the baker for the children. Bakery products have importance in the culture and traditions of Goa. Now, गोवा का जो tradition है उसमें bakery products की बहुत ज़्यादा importance है. On several occasions, they have a certain importance. Bowl or sweet bread. There is the sweet bread. It's called bowl. Is a part of marriage gifts. Cakes and bolenhas or coconut cookies are eaten at every festival, and the lady of the house prepares sandwiches at her daughter's engagement. Now, to prepare sandwiches, you need bread, and to prepare all these sweets and all these bakery products, you need bread. That's why the baker was really important, and it's still really important for Goa. Earlier, bakers wore a unique frock, a knee length known as kabai. But during the narrative's childhood days, they wore a shirt and trousers of length slightly shorter than the usual one. Okay, so they have a particular attire that they wear and it's called kabai. But when narrator was a child, in his childhood days, they wore a shirt and a trouser of length slightly shorter than the usual ones. Okay, it was slightly shorter. थोड़ा सा जितना हम लोग normally पहनते हैं उससे थोड़ा सा shorter होता था उसका length. They generally collected their bills at the end of every month, and when the month ended, वो अपनी जितना भी bill होता था, they used to come and collect it. Bakery has continued to be a profitable profession, managing to keep their families joyous and prosperous. Bakery जो profession है, it has always been a profitable profession, and they managed to keep their families very prosperous and sufficient. Now, in this chapter, important questions that could come are the occasions for which we require bread, and the arrival of the baker, how they arrived and how the children got excited because of the bread bangles. So these are a few important questions that you should prepare. Our next chapter, our next part of Glimpses of India is Coorg. Now Coorg is a place in Karnataka and it's a very beautiful place. It's said that Coorg is a piece of heaven which was drifted apart from the heaven. The writer describes the hill station of Coorg located in the Western Ghats in the state of Karnataka. It is located midway between Bangalore and Mangalore. It's somewhere between Bangalore and it is the smallest district in Karnataka. The suitable time to visit Coorg is from September to March. September to March के बीच में जो timing होता है, it's the best time to visit Coorg. The place is famous for coffee plantation and spices. यहाँ पे जो coffee और spices का plantation होता है, it's the best. It's known for its coffee plantation and spices. These are abundant rainforest which cover 30% of the area. इसका जो 30% area है, वो forest alone forest से ही covered है. The Coorgi men are brave warriors who are permitted to keep firearms without a license due to their trustworthiness. कूर्ग में सिर्फ और सिर्फ कूर्ग में ही है ये चीज़ कि वहाँ पे आप फायर आर्म्स कैरी कर सकते हो विदाउट अ लाइसेंस. द वुमेन ऑफ कूर्ग आर प्रिटी. कूर्ग इज ऑलवेज ऑल्सो नोन एज कोदवूज और कोदवू. तो आर हिंदूज बाय रिलीजन बट देयर कस्टम्स डिफर फ्रॉम दी दोज ऑफ मेन स्ट्रीम हिंदू. They are Hindus, but their customs are different from ours. The mainstream Hindu customs, they don't follow that. They marry within their community. Kodvus are said to be of Greek or Arabic descent. Now there are few legends, few stories about their origin, whether it is Greek or Arabic. Some soldiers of Alexander's army settled there. So, for the Greek origin, it is said that Alexander की जो army थी, they came there and when they couldn't go back, they settled there and they married within the community, and that's why it is said that the people of Coorg, they have a Greek descent. And for the Arabic descent, it is said that as the ethnic dress of the Kodvus, kufiya, is similar to the Arab garment kufai. It is said that maybe their ancestors were Arabs or Kurds. So that's why the attire, because of the attire they wear, it is said that maybe their descent is Arabic. The river Kaveri originates from Coorg. The fish named mahasir is found in the river. Many animals and birds like kingfisher, langur, squirrels and elephants can be spotted along the river. The wildlife is very rich there. Tourists relax in the serene atmosphere and also enjoy adventure sports like river rafting, canoeing, rappelling, mountain biking, rock climbing and trekking. So, because of the environment, because of there are a lot of adventurous sports that can be played there. While trekking on the nature trails, animals like macaques, Malabar squirrels, langurs and slender loris can be spotted on the trees. The major tourist attractions are Brahmgiri Hills, Nasirdham Islands and Bayakupi Tibetan settlements. Coorg gives visitors a feel of India's diverse culture. It gives you a very beautiful picture of how India has such diverse culture. Now from this chapter, from this part of Glimpses of India, the important questions can be why the Coorg is supposed to be so beautiful, why is it called a piece of heaven, and the question from the descent, the Greek and the Arabic descents, and what adventurous sports can you do there when you get there. So all these questions you can prepare from this part. Our next part is tea from Assam. And the story revolves around the infamous beverage tea, telling us more about its history and discovery. It begins from the scene where two friends, Pranjal and Rajveer, are set to go to Assam. So this chapter, Tea from Assam, is about two friends and they are going to Assam to visit Pranjol's home. It's his hometown, and Rajveer is going there for the first time and he is very excited about it. उसने first time देखा है इतना greenery and the tea plantation fields, all these he has seen for the first time. And Pranjol, he is not very excited about it because he was born and brought up there. So it's about Rajveer being very excited, and there are two legends about the tea. Rajveer is very excited on seeing such large plantations of trees, but Pranjol is unable to match the same level because he was born and brought up in Assam only. Visiting there for the first time, Rajveer did a lot of study about how tea was discovered, that is dated back to 2700 BC. According to what he read, it was first consumed in China and reached Europe in the 16th century. Okay, so these legends, these are very important because questions इसमें से बनते हैं. So there are numerous stories as how it discovered. One about a Chinese emperor. So there is this one legend is about the Chinese emperor and one is about the Buddhist monk. The former liked the taste of it while the latter used it to get rid of sleep. So the legend that is related to the Chinese emperor, he used to boil water before drinking, and some tea leaves fell into the water and it gave it a certain flavor, and when he drank it, that is said to be the discovery of tea. Now for the Buddhist monk, when he was meditating, when he was trying to meditate, he was feeling sleepy, so he cut off his eyelids and threw them aside, and with that 10 tea plants, they grew, and that's how it is said that tea was discovered. So these two legends are important. As they were having this discussion, they reached their destination where Pranjol's parents had come to receive them and take them to their tea gardens. On their way, they passed a cattle bridge and gave way to the truck filled with tea leaves, which drew their attention to the fact that it was the second sprouting season. When they were there, it was the second sprouting season. Rajveer indeed did a lot of study before coming, which impressed Pranjol's father and intended to learn a lot more. Rajveer was still open to learning all these things. So you can prepare the answers of these two legends and how Pranjol was not as excited as Rajveer, why he was not as excited as Rajveer, and that's it. That's from this chapter. So we have covered all three parts. Our next chapter is Madam Rides the Bus. This chapter is about an 8-year-old girl who doesn't have any friends. So she stands in the doorway और वो वहाँ पे खड़े होके आते जाते लोगों को देखती रहती है. And when she sees those people coming to the town, जो बस में travel करके आते हैं, after looking at it for a few days, उसे एक urge होती है, she gets the desire to ride the bus. Okay, so the lesson is about an 8-year-old girl named Wali who did not have friends to play with, so she would spend her time by looking at the outside affairs going on the street. Her favorite part was to look at the bus that passed by her village every hour. उस बस को देखने में उसको बहुत मजा आता था जो हर आवर वहाँ से पास होती थी. It gave her endless joy to look at the new set of passengers each time the bus crossed. Why it was exciting for her? Because every time the bus came, उसमें हमेशा नए passengers होते थे, and she got to see all the new faces. Gradually, even she wished to travel by bus. Soon the wish turned into a desire, and therefore she made it her mission to fulfill it. That desire that she had, she wanted to fulfill it. मुझे इस बस में बैठना है and I want to travel to the town. She started listening to conversations between her neighbors who frequently traveled by bus, and in process she would ask carefully questions here and there to collect more information. Now to travel, she is an 8-year-old girl, so she need to have all the information. So she listened to the people who traveled frequently there and she asked questions carefully ताकि कोई उस पे doubt ना करे. Just like this, she knew that the town is 6 miles away. the town was 6 miles away. उससे क्या क्या information collect कर ली? That the town was 6 miles away and it took the bus 45 minutes to travel one side. और एक side जाने के लिए the bus took 45 minutes. One side fare was 30 paise, making it 60 for a comeback and fourth ride. Now to go to the town, 30 paise था the fare and to come back it was also 30 paise. So it was in total 60. Therefore, she started planning and replanning so that she could sneak out during her mother's afternoon nap and come back without her knowing anything. Now she is a little girl. She cannot go out on her own, but she wanted to. So she made a plan. She very carefully planned everything and she planned it like to go at the hours when her mother was sleeping. She needed to save the money, which was not easy as she had to resist the temptation of candies, peppermints and merry-go-rounds. Now, to save the money for the fare, she had to suppress all her desires, all her temptations, candies and merry-go-rounds and everything, and she had to save money. Finally, she saved enough money and one fine day, the brave 8-year-old girl took the bus during its not very busy hours. She refused to take any help from the conductor or fellow passengers. She was behaving like she is an adult and she refused to take any help from any person. It was an amusing sight for everyone to see such a small girl all alone acting like an adult. The conductor was of joking sort and thus referred to Wali as a grown-up madam. Now, when she got into the bus, she was acting like an adult and the conductor, he was of joking sort and she called her madam, and that's where from our title we get Madam Rides the Bus, the conductor calling the girl madam. Short-heighted Wali would stand on her seat to be able to see clearly from the window while everyone advised her to sit down for her own safety. Each time someone would poke their nose in her business, Wali would get annoyed as she did not consider herself a child. And when other people, the other adults, when they were concerned about her safety, she got irritated. She did not want anyone else to tell her what to do because she considered herself an adult. She did not want to be friends with an elderly lady who was worried about her because she thought she was not socially capable enough. She enjoyed seeing what was going on outside, and the sight of a running cow in the middle of a road was a funny scenario to her. When she was riding the bus, she saw a cow running in the middle of the road and it was very funny to her. Upon reaching the town, she refused to get down the bus because she was too afraid to do so alone. While returning, she carried extreme enthusiasm until she saw a cow lying lifeless on the road, and that it was the same cow she saw earlier, and now it was dead and lying right in the middle, and it was dead. Wali got terrified at the fact that how a creature so full of life can instantly turn into something horrible. She sat down silently for the rest of the journey, and now she was not as enthusiastic as she was before. She was horrified and she was very silent throughout the journey. Upon reaching home, she found her mother and aunt talking about endless possibilities in the world. And when she got home, she saw that her mother and her aunt, they are talking about the possibilities of world. कि world में कितनी सारी possibilities हैं. And when Wali hears that, she says yes, she says she agrees. And the mother and the aunt, they are very confused that how an 8-year-old girl is saying that yeah, there are possibilities in the world. So she says that she was casually agreeing to what her mother was saying. There is no such thing as that she knows anything about it. She is just casually agreeing. Her aunt then referred to Wali as a no-spoken child who acts like a grown-up lady, but only Wali knew what she was referring to, because after all, no one knew about her bus journey, as she was the only one who knew, not her mother, not her aunt. So that's why she was the only one who knew what she was talking about. So from this chapter, you can prepare the questions like how was the journey, why she wanted to ride the bus, what were the particular reasons, and what was that incident जिससे वाली का जो excitement था, जो enthusiasm था, वो बिल्कुल खत्म हो गया and she became completely silent. So all these questions you can prepare from this chapter. And our next chapter is the Sermon at Banaras. So this chapter is about Gautam Buddha and his early life and how he got the enlightenment, and he shared that enlightenment with the world. And his first sermon after getting enlightenment, when he gave his first sermon, it was in Banaras, and that's where we get our title from, the Sermon at Banaras. Gautam Buddha was born to a North Indian royal family as a prince and was named Siddharth Gautam. Earlier, when he was a prince, his name was Siddharth Gautam. When he was 12 years old, he was sent to a far away place to study Hindu sacred scriptures, and upon returning 4 years later, he got married to a princess. Soon they both had a son. They continued to live the royal life for about 10 years. So he went to study and he came back, he got married, he had a son, they were living a royal life, everything was great. But one day, the royals were shielded from all the unpleasant experiences of the world, until one day, on his way to hunt, the prince met a sick man, an aged man, a funeral procession, and a monk begging for alms. So he was shielded from all the sufferings. He did not know that world had sufferings like poverty and old age, diseases. He did not know all that. He was shielded from it. So when one day he went hunting और उन्होंने ये सारी चीजें एक साथ देखी, एक के बाद एक देखी, that it affected him a lot. These experiences acted as eye-openers for him, and thus he left all the royalty behind to seek a higher sense of spiritual knowledge. So when he saw all these sufferings, it was an eye-opener for him. He thought that the royalty, all I have, is for nothing, and he went out to seek enlightenment. Upon attaining salvation, he began preaching, and when he got salvation, when he got enlightenment, he sat under a tree, and for several days he sat there, and then he got enlightenment. And the tree, it's called the Bodhi tree, where he got enlightenment. He gave his first sermon in the city of Banaras. There was a lady named Kisa Gautami, whose son had died. Now when he was giving his sermon at Banaras, he gave his first sermon at Banaras. Now there was this lady, Kisa Gautami, and her son had just died, and she was going here and there, people to people, door to door, to ask for medicine for his son. People started thinking that the lady has lost her sense. One day she met a man who directed her towards Lord Buddha, who could possibly have a solution for her problem. Now she met a man. He said, I don't have a medicine for your son or a solution for your problem, but I can send you to a person. मैं किसी के पास तुम्हें भेज सकता हूँ जिसके पास शायद तुम्हारी प्रॉब्लम का कोई सॉल्यूशन हो. और उसने कीसा गौतमी को गौतम बुद्ध के पास भेजा. Buddha asked her to look for mustard seeds, and the seeds must be procured from a house that had seen no death. So Buddha asked her to get some mustard seeds, लेकिन वो ऐसे घर से होने चाहिए जहाँ कभी किसी की डेथ ना हुई हो. Reinstated with hope, Kisa Gautami once again went on a search from house to house, but to her dismay, she could not find mustard seed from house that would fulfill Gautam Buddha's condition. Now there is no home in this world जहाँ पे किसी की डेथ ना हुई हो. So Kisa Gautami, she had a hope, and she went from door to door looking for a home that there जहाँ पे किसी की डेथ ना हुई हो, but there was no such home. Disheartened, she sat at the edge of the road, thus realizing how selfish she had been. She became conscious to the fact that men were mortal and no one could escape the cycle of life. That the cycle of life, it goes on, and that is common to all. अगर किसी ने जन्म लिया है, then they are bound to die. This was exactly what Buddha wanted her to understand, and that's what he wanted her to understand. That's why he asked her to go and get the mustard seed from a house that has seen no death. According to Lord Buddha, feelings of grief and sorrow only increases man's pain and suffering, thus deteriorating his health. Therefore, a wise person, fully aware about nature's functioning, must not grieve at something bound to happen, and only then he can be happy and be blessed. So, a wise person, who is a wise person? जो grieve ना करे, जो एक grieving को लेके बहुत time तक ना रहे. Moving on. That's what Lord Buddha wanted everyone to understand. So from this chapter, you can prepare the Kisa Gautami's story about how she understood the cycle of life, how she understood that death is common to all, and about Gautam Buddha's early life, how he got enlightenment, what happened, what were the incidents that made him understand that there is a lot in the world. And that's for this chapter. Our next chapter is the proposal. It's a play where we have three characters, Lomov, Chubukov and the daughter Natalia. And the curtain rises with Lomov entering his neighbor Chubukov's house fully dressed up in his evening attire. He is wearing this very formal evening attire, and Chubukov is surprised to see him well dressed and asks him the occasion. Lomov reveals that he had come to make a request. Chubukov anticipates that he must have come to ask for money. Now when Chubukov asks him that Lomov, that what is the occasion, why have you come here, then he anticipates, he guesses that maybe he has come to ask for money. That's why he always comes. On being revealed that Lomov had come to ask for Chubukov's daughter Natalia's hand in marriage, Chubukov gets filled with excitement and leaves to call Natalia. But when Lomov reveals that वो Natalia से शादी करने के लिए आया है, Chubukov gets very excited. Lomov is a 35-year-old gentleman who suffers from palpitation, gets upset very easily and doesn't sleep well. He thinks that it is the best age for him to get married, and he is happy that he has his mind made up about Natalia. Now these are the reasons for him to get married. Why Lomov wants to get married? He is already 35. It's a good age to get married, and if he doesn't get married now, he will be unmarried for the rest of his life. And he suffers from several diseases like palpitation. He gets upset really easily and he doesn't sleep well, and he thinks that Natalia is the best match for him because she is good looking, she is well educated, she is a good homemaker and everything. So these are the reason why Lomov wants to get married to Natalia. According to him, Natalia is average looking and a good housekeeper. When Natalia arrives, Lomov begins the conversation about how grateful and glad he is that both their families are on good terms since the very beginning. While continuing to talk about his land, he somehow mentions about Oxen Meadows, which earlier was a disputed property but is now his. So when they are talking, they are casually talking, and this incident comes up where he tells them that the Oxen Meadows, this particular land which was earlier in dispute, but now it's now his. Natalia couldn't believe a word he was saying because she believes that Oxen Meadows belong to her family. Now the dispute begins, the quarreling, the reason for their fighting. The first reason is that the Oxen Meadows, Lomov thinks that Oxen Meadows are his and Natalia thinks that it belongs to her family. Both of them enter into a heated discussion and act childishly when Chubukov enters just to get the conversation more heated. So when Chubukov enters, Natalia asks him that father, जो Oxen Meadows हैं वो हमारे हैं, tell him, and he agrees that yeah, Oxen Meadows are ours, and the argumentation that it got heated up. They shout and scream while Lomov suffers from extreme pounding of the heart, side pull and a numb foot. They throw Lomov out of the house and continue cursing him. While speaking ill of him, Chubukov unintentionally reveals that he had come with a marriage proposal for Natalia, which surprises Natalia, and she immediately regrets sending him out. Now when they are arguing, argument के बाद they throw Lomo out of their house and unintentionally चुबुको नतालिया को बता देता है that Lomo उससे शादी करने के लिए आया था, and Natalia instantly start regretting sending him out and she wants him to come back. And when Lomo returns, Natalia tries to deviate to another topic and start talking about shooting. Somehow they enter into an argument involving their dogs. Natalia feels that her squeezer is better than Lomo's guess. Now, the second argument, the reason for their second argument is that they both think that their dogs is better. Natalia's dog is squeezer and Lomo's dog is guess, and she thinks that her dog is better and Lomo thinks that his dog is better. They continue arguing when Chubukov enters the scene only to make the situation worse again. Once everyone gets hyper and Lomo finally falls due to his palpitations. Even then his cursing continues when suddenly Natalia notices that he is unconscious. Now because of all the arguments and all those shouting, Lomo gets the palpitations and he gets unconscious. They try to get water down his throat but end up getting unsuccessful and declares him dead. It is only when Lomo moves a little bit they feed him some water, and Chubukov forcefully hands over Natalia's hand to him, gives his blessing and asks them to kiss. Now when Lomo is unconscious they think that he is dead, but when he moves, then Chubukov is very happy that yeah, Lomo is alive, and he quickly gives his hand in Natalia's hand and he asks them to kiss and make up. Lomo, still not fully conscious, doesn't understand what is going on. When he finally comes to his senses, he expresses his excitement and kisses Natalia's hand. Natalia, being child as she is, manipulates him into accepting that squeezer is better than guess, but Lomo, being adamant as he is, refuses to accept it. Thus once again the quarreling continues. Now Natalia is trying to manipulate him that her dog is better, but Lomo refuses to say that, and once again they start quarreling over their dogs. So in this chapter you can prepare the questions like what were the reasons that Lomo wanted to get married, that he was 35 years old already and he had palpitations and he thought that Natalia was the best match for him, and why were they fighting, the reasons for their arguments. And yeah, that's it for this chapter. And our next chapter is Amanda by Robin Klein, the poem Amanda. So this poem is about a girl who is very irritated and very tired of her mother constantly nagging her, constantly telling her what to do and what not to do, and she has this own world. She has her own world and her fantasies, and she wants to escape. The poem describes a girl named Amanda and her mother who is nagging her for her mistakes. She is first pointed out most probably by her mother for biting her nails. So first of all, her mother, she tells her to not to bite her nails and for not sitting in the right posture. The mother also feels that Amanda sits in a very lazy manner. To this, Amanda imagines herself as a mermaid. So her first imagination is being a mermaid. She wants to be a mermaid who lives a calm, relaxing life in the beautiful green sea. Further, she is nagged for not cleaning her room and shoes, and also for not doing her homework. So the general things that all mothers nag their children for. She then imagines herself to be an orphan because she is now fed up of being watched by her parents continuously. Now she imagines that she is an orphan and she can do whatever she wants. She can roam in the streets and nobody will say anything to her because she is an orphan. She says that she would have enjoyed her freedom then by making the patterns of her bare feet on the sand and would live a peaceful life. Next, Amanda is scolded for eating too many chocolates as it causes acne or pimples. She is also scolded for not listening to her mother. So now Amanda thinks of being Rapunzel. Now her next imagination is being of Rapunzel, and Rapunzel is a character from a fairy tale and wants to live in a huge tower like her. In the tower, she will be alone and will live a peaceful life and will never allow anyone to come in. Now she wants to live in a tower and she wants to live there alone, and she will not allow anyone else to come there. Finally, the mother asks her to stop being moody because she doesn't want anyone to blame her for harassing her daughter. At this time, the poet has not written any reaction from Amanda's side. This constant nagging has made her so sad that she has even stopped to imagine herself as someone else. Now she has completely stopped imagining herself as someone else. She is very quiet now. She used to do so in order to escape from the continuous harassment and dominance of her parents. Now she just wants everyone to stop nagging her, to stop telling her what to do all the time. She just wants peace and silence. The literary devices that have been used in the poem are: first is anaphora. That's the repeated use of a word at the start of two or more consecutive lines. For example, did you finish, did you tidy? This is what you call an anaphora. A sonnet, the use of vowel sounds like thought, told, you, your, shoes, the use of vowel sounds. Repetition of a word. For example, Amanda has been used several times here. Metaphor, silence is gold, freedom is sweet. Silence is said to be a glorious like golden color. Freedom is said to be sweet in taste. Allusion, use of famous fairy tale character Rapunzel. Allusion. Consonants, use of consonant sounds. In assonance we use vowel sound, and consonants we use consonant sounds. Alliteration, stop that sulking, the S sound, the repetition of S sound. Rhyme scheme is AABA, CCC, AADA, EEE, AAFA, GGG and AAHA in different stanzas. Okay. Now our next poem is Animals by Walt Whitman. In this poem, in this particular poem, the poet desires to live with animals. He thinks that animals are better than humans. They have certain qualities that the humans they don't, and that's why he likes animals better. In this poem, Whitman compares a man to animals. He is comparing men to animals. It is the souls of animals that are meant to reflect the truth in humanity. The central idea of this poem is to highlight the difference between human beings and animals. The whole idea of this poem is to differentiate between animals and humans, how they are different. In the beginning, both were similar in their innate goodness. The man had lost it over the years. Earlier, in the beginning, they both were same. They both had those same good qualities. But with time, human beings, they lost these qualities somewhere. In the race of human civilization, humans have lost their nature. They have become self-centered, jealous, restless, unhappy, and always dissatisfied about everything. They grumble and crib about every issue. They cry over their sins and look for ways to please God for their selfish motives. So, all these bad qualities that humans have, the poet wants to say that these qualities, the animals, they don't have this. They grumble and crib about every issue. They cry over their sins and look for ways to please their God. They want to please the other person. They want to please their God for their sins. They have lost their sound sleep and most of the time are unable to enjoy even small joys and happiness. They are always in tension, or they always want something more. They are always dissatisfied, and that's why they don't enjoy little things in life. Humans have become a combination of complications, contradictions and confusions. Animals, on the other hand, are peaceful, self-contained, thankful and happy. The poet desires to live among the animals because they do not complain about their condition like human beings. Now, why the poet thinks that animals are better? Because they do not complain like humans do. That's why he wants to live with them. The animals do not have to bow to another of their kind. They are all equal and they remain satisfied. Animals, they are all equal. They don't have a god to bow down to. The poet has a deep desire to learn from animals because they do not have any kind of falsehood. The poet is very surprised by their quality. So, in this chapter, the poet wants to say that animals are way better than humans because of the certain qualities. The literary devices used in this poem are assonance, the use of vowel sounds, repetition, the use of the word long, it's been repeated several times. Anaphora, I word used at the start of two consecutive lines. Use of repeated words at the beginning of two or more consecutive lines is called anaphora, and they do not, it comes in consecutive lines. Metaphor, sweat and wine refers to the cries and complaints of human beings. The inner qualities of humans are referred to as tokens. The word tokens, it's supposed to be the qualities humans show. Personification, the poem has uniform personification, it has been personified. Alliteration, repetition of initial consonant sounds. Alliteration, for example, they do not make me sick, make me, M sound repeat हो रहा है. And here wonder bear, W sound repeat हो रहा है. And here they get those tokens, so the T sound is repeating. Okay, so these are the literary devices that has been used in this poem. Our next poem, The Tale of Custard the Dragon by Ogden Nash. So it's a very light-hearted poem. The Tale of Custard the Dragon. It's a ballad and it's a very light-hearted poem, very humorous poem. The Tale of Custard the Dragon is a ballad. It's a humorous poem about a cowardly dragon named Custard. Custard is a pet of Belinda. Now there is this girl Belinda and she has several pets and Custard is one of them. And he is supposed to be very cowardly. He wants to be in his nice safe cage and he doesn't want to get out of it. And the other animals, they are teasing him for being so cowardly. He is a dragon, he is not supposed to be cowardly, but he is, and that's why they are teasing him. Custard is a pet of Belinda, a little girl who lives in a little white house with her pets. She has a black kitten named Ink, a grey mouse named Blink, a yellow dog named Mustard, and a cowardly dragon, Custard. The poet says that all of them are very brave except the dragon. Everyone is brave. All the animals, Belinda also, they all are very brave. Others were described as brave and are compared with animals like bear, tiger or lion, but the dragon is very timid. He is always very cowardly. He always demands a safe place for himself. All the other characters make fun of him, but one night they are surprised by the entry of a pirate in the house. Now what happens is that a pirate, he climbs up a window and he comes there and everyone is scared and everyone runs away. कोई basement में चला जाता है, कोई कहीं चला जाता है. But the dragon, Custard, all of them are frightened and starts hiding here and there. But to everyone's surprise, the dragon not only tackles him but also eats him up. Now the dragon, who was supposed to be very cowardly, who was thought of as cowardly, he is there to help Belinda. When Belinda asks for help, all the animals who were so-called brave, they ran away, but there was Custard and he saved Belinda from the pirate. But at the end, they realized that they used to make fun of dragon because of his being timid. So all of them suddenly start saying that they are more brave. But when everything is over, when Custard ate the pirate and everything was back to normal, all the animals started saying that, yeah, I would have been twice as brave, I would have been thrice as brave if we wouldn't have been confused. has tried to say that sometimes a timid person is the actual hero in the toughest situations of life. We should not judge a book by its cover. When Custard, he was supposed to be cowardly. Everyone thought that he will not be able to save Belinda, but he did. He was the one who came, and all the other animals who were so-called brave, they ran away. They did not come back until the pirate was gone. Okay. So in this poem, literary devices that have been used are repetition of the word. For example, little tickled him. Oxymoron, use of two words with opposite meaning. Oxymoron is what? When we use two words together, that have opposite meanings. For example, pet dragon. A dragon cannot be a pet, but here the dragon is a pet. Anaphora, repeated use of words at the starting of two consecutive lines. For example, and a little and a Trulio, cowardly dragon. Repeated use of words at the start of two consecutive lines, as we say. Refrain, repetition of a sentence again and again. When we repeat a sentence and a Trulio, this sentence has been repeated. Poetic license, Trulio for real and true. The spellings have been changed to create a musical effect. Poetic license is when words get changed because just to create a musical effect. And mousehold has been called household. Window has been called window here. Simile, dog compared to mustard. A little yellow dog because he is yellow and he is compared to mustard. Dragon's mouth is compared with fireplace, mouth like a fireplace. Belinda is as brave as a barrel full of bears. Alliteration, coward as she called him Custard, the C sound. Belinda, brave, barrel, bear, B sound. Beard was black, B sound again, alliteration. Metaphor, chimney for a nose. His nose has been called as chimney. Assonance, the repetition of vowel sounds, use of vowel sounds. Allusion, reference to any person or place. Here, Percival was a knight in King Arthur's army and he ran away when he was supposed to fight. So he was Custard was called Percival, and there is allusion have been used. Personification, ink, blink, mustard, they rudely called him. The animals are talking. Personification, onomatopoeia, sound words to create dramatic effect. For example, giggle and weak. Consonants, use of consonant sounds. Imagery, an image is created about the appearance of the pirate. The description of a pirate, he had guns in both hands, he had a wooden leg and everything. So एक image बन जाती है there, that's what you call imagery. The attack by the dragon, to express in a way to make an image in our minds. They have shown the reaction and actions made by the pirate on seeing the dragon, that he take out his flask and drink some liquid. Transferred epithet, terrified yelp. Now it is not the yelp that's terrifying, it's the sound. It is not the yelping sound that is terrifying, but it is not a living thing, but that the dog is terrified by the pirate and yelps in the reaction, right? So in terrified yelp, the yelp is not terrifying, the dog is terrified and in reaction he yelps. That's what you call a transferred epithet. So I hope this revision was very useful to you. Your exams are coming and good luck for that.